Good morning, everyone. My name is Alfred, and I'll be presenting introductions and key exports and imports. We are Group 2, and let's dive quick in. In Malaysia's role in international trade, Malaysia's location along major global shipping routes has made it a strategic hub for global commerce. Its economy thrives on an export-led strategy supported by policies focused on openness, competitiveness, and integration with the world markets. This approach reflects international trade theories like comparative advantage and trade liberalization, allowing Malaysia to focus on what it does best while engaging actively in global trade and networks. Malaysia's exports are centered around sectors where it has strong advantage on. Leading the way is the electronics and electrical sectors, which are contributing 37% of the total exports in 2023. This includes semiconductors, solar panels, and electronic components, supported to China and the US. Next is palm oil. Palm oil is a major revenue stream which exports exceeding around 100 billion, serving markets like India, EU, and China. Petroleum. Petroleum are also significant with exports surpassing 130 billion, especially to Japan and South Korea. To support its industrial base, Malaysia imports mainly machineries and intermediate goods, especially for E&Es and manufacturing. These imports, worth nearly Rm 300 billion in 2023, come mostly from China, Japan, and Germany. On the consumer side, rising income levels has led to a higher imports of processed foods, dairy, and household goods, particularly from Australia, Thailand, and EU. These imports not only supports Malaysia's growing middle class, it also strengthens its halal certified food industry for both domestic and export demands. To conclude, Malaysia's trade success comes from leveraging its location and also focusing on high-performing export sectors and importing smartly to drive both industrial growth and customer satisfaction. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chan Shiman. Today I'll be giving a brief overview of Malaysia's two most important trading partners, which is China and the United States, and how they impact our economy. In 2024, China was Malaysia's largest trading partner with a record of 212 billion US dollars in bilateral trade. The United States was also a major partner with a trade reaching up to 80.2 billion US dollars. These two countries alone make up a significant portion of Malaysia's total external trade and are vital for Malaysia's economic development. This is the trade composition and economic roles. Malaysia exports oil, LNG, palm oil, and electronics to China, and China imports finished goods like machinery and electronics. Malaysia also exports electronic and scientific equipment to the US, and the US import high-tech and aerospace products. Together, China and the US support different areas of our economy. China in supply chain scale, and the US in technology and quality standards. China's investment in Malaysia goes beyond trade. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, they have funded large-scale infrastructure like the East Coast Rail Link and Kuantan Industrial Park. These projects improve transport and industry capacity. Meanwhile, US companies like Intel and HP have helped Malaysia become an electronic hub, especially in places like Penang and Guilin.
Hello! Now, I will be sharing a brief overview of some major export issues and trade barriers facing Malaysia's trading. Malaysia is a country highly dependent on trade. Approximately 67% of its trade occurs under free trade agreements or FTAs, such as ASEAN, RCEP, and CPTPP. However, just because Malaysia is an open trading market does not stop the external challenges and trade barriers that exist. One of the principal issues was from the United States, which imposed reciprocal tariffs on Malaysian exports starting in 2025 of up to 40% on certain products. including electronics and semiconductors, unless Malaysia entered into a bilateral trade agreement by 2025. In turn, this led to a 3.5% drop in exports, disrupted supply lines and supply chains, and disrupted Malaysia's regional and global strategies. Moreover, one of the other major challenges are anti-dumping duties. The US imposed tariffs of up to 168% on solar panels made in Malaysia, and while Malaysia itself has imposed anti-dumping duties on steel imports from multiple countries to protect its domestic industries and manufacturers, there are parts of trades that do affect international trade. Another challenge is that Malaysia also faces non-tariff barriers to trade. For example, there are delays in import licensing, and the approved permit system in auto industry causes problems, as the importation of cars has increased the cost substantially. Moreover, there are Bumiputra policies that can create informal barriers to export, preventing non-Bumiputra from exporting in those areas. In some instances, Malaysia adapts to the external challenges faced by utilizing negotiated diplomacy, engaging directly with the US, and avoiding issues at the WTO level. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Law Chen Chi, and today I'll be presenting the Malaysia's trade landscape based on the official data. So Malaysia's trade remains export-driven and manufacturing-led, with E&E products making up over 30% of exports back in 2023. According to the DOSM, total trade exceeded around 2.8 trillion ringgit in 2024, highlighting the reliance on global markets. So Malaysia is active in trade agreements. So 67% of trade occurs through FTAs like the ASEAN FTAs, the RCEPs, and the CPTPPs, which help lower tariffs and improves market across the market access. So the US is a key trade partner, with total trade crossing 60 billion US dollars back in 2023, majoring export including E&E components, medical and scientific equipment, which is backed by the US investments, like from firms like Intel and Texas Instruments, strengthening the semiconductor role. However, the challenges still remains, which is the tariffs escalation still exists on sensitive items like rice, and the US has imposed anti-dumping duties on like the E&E and solar products, impacting the exports. Yeah. So domestically, non-tariff barriers like the AP system limit competition, raise compliance costs. And on the positive side, Malaysia has fully implemented the WTO trade facilitation agreement, simplified customs and lowered average tariffs in 7.1% for the tariffs back in 2022, which boosts the efficiency. Lastly, deeper regional engagements through RCEP and CPTPP and projects like the Johor-Singapore Economic Zone shows Malaysia's shift toward intra-Asian trade and market diversification. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Umikulta Mathman and my student ID is 231-25024. Malaysia is a small country. It's a world trade giant. The economic success of this country is greatly linked with the international business strategies. However, how did it come here and what are some of its problems in this world's economy? The transformation of Malaysia into a country that does not focus on traditional commodities such as rubber and tin as its export products, as explained by the Heckscher-Ohlin model in terms of factor endowments, was then taken as a strategy. It has made strategic use of industrialization and inward flow of FDI, through which it has embraced the flying geese paradigm to integrate technology, particularly in electronics and electric goods. E&E has been indicating the deep involvement of Malaysia in the global value chains today. The exports of Malaysia are very diverse, stretching as far as high-tech E&E to essential petroleum and palm oil. Much of its trading partners are linked to gravity model of trade, giant economies such as China, Singapore, US, and Japan. These critical relations are motivated by nearness and the economic magnitude, and ASEAN integration reinforces the regional trade. Nevertheless, international trade is rather challenging. Here, protectionism and fragility of the supply chain affect the open Malaysia economy in a direct way. More importantly, palm oil industry has been under ethical obligation in the areas of sustainability and labor usage, which has caused non-tariff barriers imposed by markets such as EU. This shows how ethical factors permeate through any business decision and enable businesses to enter markets abroad. Malaysia needs to change in order to keep up the successes. It will imply constant innovation, adoption of IR 4.0, development of supply chain resiliency, and proactive accommodation of ethical requirements. The modest growth in this constantly changing global environment depends mainly on effective trade policy that combines both regional and multilateral involvement in domestic goals. Thank you.